Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode of my Community Question Series, episode 27. And the question for today's video is, do you collect sealed games? Now I know this can be a very controversial subject with some gamers and collectors regarding sealed games, but I would like to know if you guys actively collect sealed games. Now you guys can answer this question as a comment, or you can film a video response answering the question, or you can do both. And by doing one or both, you will earn entries into a contest that I will be holding at the end of this community question series that I started. I will have several winners, with a grand prize winner who will win a console of their choice. I'll have a couple different consoles put up as a prize, and I will bundle some games with it, and the main winner will get to choose what console they'd like to have. And so for every video that you respond to, you will gain entries, and you can actually earn up to 2 entries by leaving a comment and a video response for each video. So if you guys have missed any of my previous 26 questions, feel free to go back and answer those questions, as there's plenty of time. As long as the contest has not concluded, you have time to go back and respond to any of the questions you may have missed in the past. It doesn't matter if the video's a year old now or whatever, you missed it. Feel free to go back and answer any of those questions you'd like to, and you can gain some more entries into the contest. And I would love to hear your guys' response to my questions I ask you guys. So for me personally, I don't actively go out to buy sealed games for my collection, as video games were meant to be played. So personally, I won't go out and actively collect sealed games, with the exception of a few games that I do own that I bought for sole purpose of collecting them, helping support the devs, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I'm not really big into collecting the sealed games, and I'm definitely not into the whole grading system. I know there's people that are just in love with the WADA and the other gaming grading services out there, and getting their sealed copies put inside a protective case and getting a rating on how good the seal is and selling them, and making the value go super high. And I know some people are into the whole value aspect when it comes to collecting, which for me is not why I collect. It's not about a status symbol. It's not about being better than anybody else. It's about something that I really enjoy and love having in my collection that I can play and enjoy. And if you have a sealed game and have it graded, it's now forever locked in a tomb that can never be opened and enjoyed. Now, I do buy some games brand new, not all the time. It's usually for certain releases that I will, pre-order a game and pick it up day one new, which every year seems to have, for me, it's less and less titles to pick up. This year, I don't even know if I picked up one new game this year. I might have picked up one, but it's not a whole lot of games I get anymore. So when those are games I intend to pick up, like I bought this Cat Quest plus Cat Quest 2 Possum Pack. I got it at GameStop. I pre-ordered, was the only person who pre-ordered it, but I never beat the first game, so until then I just leave it sealed, which I could just open it anyways. It's not a big deal because I will open it eventually, but I just leave it sealed because it helps protect the case in the game until I get the time to play it. So those are the ones I do have in my collection that are sealed. Like another one here is Chernobyl Light for PlayStation 4, another one that I bought brand new, as it had a small print run and I wanted to get it before you couldn't get it anymore. It is one I do plan to open once I get to it, but I do have several sealed games in my collection that I will be eventually opening and playing, because games were meant to be played and not just sit on the shelf. Now I do know there are some collectors who will literally buy 2 copies of a game. They'll buy a sealed copy and then they'll have a play copy where they can play that one and keep their one sealed. Personally, unless it was like something super popular for my title that I loved, or something that's really dear to my heart, like a really, really special game, I could maybe see having 2 copies of that game, one sealed, because it's something you really love. I was may say you're a huge fan of the original Halo, and so you had to have, it's your favorite game of all time, so you had to have at least one sealed copy of it, and then you had your regular play copy to play. I can see that, but definitely not one I would go in every single game in my collection and have a double of every game and have one sealed and one open to play, which is not my thing. Now I know there are also some people that will have sealed games for older consoles and some of the newer ones, but they'll use emulation. Like, oh, I don't even play the games I physically have. I just have them sealed. They look nice on the shelf, but I play all my Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 on my modded Wii or my Raspberry Pi, through emulation on the PC. I do know people have that as well, but then at that point, again, for me personally, they're just sitting on the shelf and doing nothing. So what's the point in spending the money to have it just sit around and sealed? If you're going to have a huge amount of sealed games, it's just a lot of money, because a lot of the, especially for older games, if you're trying to get an old game complete in box is expensive, but then getting an old game sealed in box is even more crazy for how expensive it'll go for. You'll have to spend a ton of money for it, and so that's why I just don't see the point in collecting the sealed games. But, if that's what you're into, that's cool. No judgment from me. You guys collect however way you like. I just feel it's a waste of money for myself, and not something I actively go after. But there are a few select games that I do have sealed, like this next one I'm going to show you for PlayStation 5, which I don't even have a PlayStation 5, but I wanted to help support this developer because they created a game that had a lot of love, passion. They put a lot of time into this and were huge fans of this franchise like I am, and that was Terminator Resistance. But this is the Enhanced Collector's Edition, released for PlayStation 5 only, and it came with the Terminator Resistance Enhanced game. It came with a steelbook, a mini hardcover comic, and 4x A6 postcards. Now, I absolutely loved this game. When it was first released, it got a lot of hate, and people were shitting on it, and it got a really small print run on Xbox One and PS4 and the PC. But the PC was, digital, which you can still get digital, but physically, you wanted to get it. Well, it became like a cult classic basically pretty quickly, as people just, figured out, like, hey, those got people at IGN and some of these other people, everybody jumped on the shit and hate wagon of this game and don't realize it's actually awesome. And so it was nice to see that a lot more people really enjoyed the game. And this Teon studio that created this game is actually working on a RoboCop game, which is really cool. But I wanted to help support the developers because I want them to make another Terminator game. It would be amazing. Hey, make another one. It's awesome. You guys did a great job. I'd love to see your studio keep making games. So I wanted to help support them because they made something I really love. And so that's why I bought this to keep sealed. I'm never opening it. Even if I do get a PlayStation 5, I would just get a digital copy of this, because this does have content that wasn't in the regular release. They added this cool infiltrator mode where you get to play as that Terminator infiltrator unit, but a different model. If you remember watching the original movie, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he actually played a different infiltrator Terminator, and you get to play as one of those models. So you get to play as a Terminator in this game instead of playing as a human. So that's something that's really cool. But this game was so special to me. I beat it twice. It was such an amazing game. I love it. I'm going to have to beat it again. It is definitely the best Terminator game I've ever played in my life. These people loved the first two Terminator movies, and it connects this game to those movies and storyline and everything. And they did just a really great love letter to Terminator franchise. So you knew that these people loved about it. They loved that series. They loved Terminator. And they made a fantastic game with a great story. And so I had to have a sealed copy for my collection. So I can understand having some for your absolute favorite things. You have it sealed because you just got to have it in your collection. You don't want to open it up. You just want to have it for that collecting aspect, which kind of defeats the purpose of video games because they are meant to be played. But there are exceptions I will make, and this Terminator Resistance Enhanced Edition is one of those that I made an exception for, only because it's such a very special title to me, and it was a game I really loved. And it was only $50 because the limited run released this. They published it because no one else wanted to. Sony said no to it. Microsoft said no. So they decided to go with limited run, and then they had a very limited release of these. My local game store still has a copy of this, and they want $250 for it. It was going for a lot of money for a while, but it's lost a lot of its value. So if this is something you want to get, you could probably get it for $100 now. But it's something that's really special to me and is a great addition to my collection. But one of the few ones that I make an exception for having sealed in my collection, because I just don't generally go after sealed games. I'm not going to go out of my way to buy them. If a game's been out for a while, I prefer to buy it used, as I can get it a lot cheaper than having to pay the new price, especially now when you have so many people, sealed collectors and complete in box collectors these days, that it's really driven the prices up. And so a lot of times you can save money by buying an open used copy, as well as you can also play it. But I do know there are also people I've heard of. My buddy Dean said he's got a buddy that won't buy anything but new sealed games. He doesn't like buying used games. He doesn't like having, somebody else opened and touched the case or the cartridge or anything, or the disc. He wants it all pristine, mint, 100% brand new, but he's buying and opening and playing them, but he won't buy them used. And I've known other people in the past who were the same way with like DVDs and Blu-rays. Like I had a buddy that I worked with when I worked at Walmart. He was the same way. Like we would get new movie releases on Tuesdays at the store, and he would buy them there. And I'm like, dude, you can save money not buying them new. He's like, no, I buy them new only, dude. He's like, I don't want to buy someone else's used crap. I'm not buying it. Who knows what they did to it? Which, me, I've never really had a whole lot of issues with buying used stuff. Maybe like 1 out of 1,000 games didn't really work because I just look at the condition of the disc. But everybody collects differently, and everyone has their own standards, and his standard was always getting sealed. But personally, I'm not a sealed collector because I like to be able to play and enjoy my games and rip open the seal. I know that some people get triggered by people opening sealed games, like, oh, you destroyed the value of that game, this had a limited print run, and you ripped it open, and now you wasted it. You could have just got a digital copy, and, hey, they were meant to be played. If somebody wants to open their sealed game, let them open their sealed game. They don't have to be sealed. But if you enjoy your sealed games, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. If you enjoyed grading them, that's okay with me as well. I just don't like that practice. I just don't see the point in putting a sealed game now in another protector. I mean, maybe I could see it if it was maybe sending something like this, a really special piece, to get graded, and not because you want to make it more valuable or because you need someone to tell you it's great or something. You just want to have that protected box, which I do need to get a protective box for this, just because I want to protect the plastic from getting damaged. I could see maybe getting it the seal game for that, because I do know they do use really nice acrylic plastic hard cases for the sealed game. So I can see that for maybe a couple special ones in your collection, maybe getting them graded solely for the purpose of protecting them from getting sunlight damage and getting moisture damage and getting rubbed on the shelf or anything and wearing and tearing in the plastic. I could see it for that, but otherwise, personally, I just can't see having, a huge collection of sealed games just to look at, which I know, some people have their favorites you would do it to, but I couldn't see myself doing it with hundreds of games and just tons of them sitting on the shelf and then only playing them through emulation. But if that's something you enjoy, like I said, no judgment from me. We all enjoy collecting in our own ways. We all enjoy playing different games. There's no right and wrong answer in collecting. That's what's so great, and that's what's so nice about having a difference of opinions, because it's going to happen, but it's okay, and that's why I like having these discussions. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know, do you guys actively collect sealed games, or are you kind of like me where you're not really into them, or maybe you're big into them hardcore and you're into the whole getting them graded and everything, and you really love having them? I would love to know. You guys can answer this question as a comment, or you can film a video response. If you do film a video response, just let me know about it so I can check it out. I would hate to miss it, and I want to make sure you guys get credit for your entries into the contest. I will also post a link as a comment on this video so other people can find your video response and they can enjoy it as well. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.